Emily had always dreamed of being a millionaire. Since she was a little girl, she imagined herself living in a big house, driving luxury cars, and traveling the world. Every night, she would look at the stars and promise herself that one day she would be rich. She believed that money could solve all her problems and bring her happiness. However, she didn't know how to achieve her dream. She worked as a waitress in a small cafe, serving coffee to customers who barely noticed her. Every day felt the same, and she was tired of struggling to pay her bills. She often wondered how rich people made their fortune. Were they lucky, or did they work harder than everyone else? Emily was determined to find out. One day, while cleaning a table, she overheard a businessman talking about investments. He mentioned stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Emily had never thought about these things before, but now she was curious. Could investing be the key to wealth? She decided to do some research and learn as much as possible. That night, she went home and searched online for information about making money. She read articles, watched videos, and even borrowed books from the library. The more she learned, the more excited she became. She realized that becoming rich was not just about luck. It was about knowledge, strategy, and persistence. Emily knew that the road to success would not be easy, but she was ready to take the first step. She made a plan to start saving money, learning new skills, and finding opportunities to invest. Her journey to becoming a millionaire had just begun. Chapter 2: The First Challenge. Emily was eager to start her journey, but she quickly realized that saving money was harder than she thought. Her salary barely covered her rent and daily expenses. No matter how much she tried to cut back, there was always another bill to pay. She started to feel discouraged, but she refused to give up. Determined to make extra money, Emily took on a second job as a freelance writer. She wrote articles at night after finishing her shift at the cafe. It was exhausting, but she knew it was necessary to achieve her dream. Every dollar she earned was a step closer to her goal. One evening, while working at the cafe, she met an old friend, Lisa. Lisa had started her own online business selling handmade jewelry. She told Emily that it was possible to make money doing something you loved. Emily was inspired by Lisa's success and started thinking about her own passions. After some reflection, she realized that she loved fashion. She decided to start a small online business selling stylish clothes. She used the money she had saved from writing to buy a few items and created an online store. It was a small start, but she was excited about the possibilities. Emily knew that success wouldn't come overnight, but she was willing to work hard. She understood that building wealth required patience, creativity, and determination. With her first challenge behind her, she was ready for the next step in her journey. Chapter 3: The Struggles of a Dreamer. Running an online store was not as easy as Emily had imagined. She faced many challenges, from marketing her products to managing customer complaints. Some days, she barely made any sales, and she started to doubt herself. Was she making the right decision? Could she really become a millionaire? Despite the difficulties, Emily refused to give up. She spent hours researching marketing strategies and learning how to attract customers. She created social media pages, posted stylish pictures, and even offered discounts to new buyers. Slowly, her business started to grow. However, as her business expanded, so did her responsibilities. She had to deal with suppliers, shipping issues, and competition from other stores. At times, she felt overwhelmed and wanted to quit. But every time she thought about giving up, she reminded herself why she started. She dreamed of financial freedom, and she was not going to stop now. One day, she received an email from a popular influencer who loved her designs. They wanted to collaborate and promote her brand. Emily was thrilled. This was the big opportunity she had been waiting for. She worked tirelessly to prepare for the partnership, making sure everything was perfect. As the influencer posted about her store, sales started pouring in. Emily was finally seeing the results of her hard work. She realized that success was not just about talent. It was about persistence and learning from failures. She was more motivated than ever to continue chasing her dream. Chapter 4: The Road to Success. Emily's business was growing, but she knew that selling clothes alone would not make her a millionaire. She needed to expand and invest in new opportunities. She started attending business seminars and networking with successful entrepreneurs. She wanted to learn from those who had already achieved financial success. During one seminar, she met a mentor who taught her about real estate investing. He explained how buying and renting properties could create passive income. Emily was fascinated and decided to give it a try. She used the profits from her store to buy a small apartment, which she rented out. At first, it was challenging to manage both her business and her new investment, but she adapted quickly. She hired a team to help run her store while she focused on growing her wealth. With time, she bought more properties and expanded her business internationally. Years passed, and Emily went from struggling to pay her bills to owning multiple businesses and investments. She was no longer just dreaming about being a millionaire. She was living it. But what made her happiest was not just the money. It was the journey, the lessons, and the people she had met along the way. Chapter 5: Living the Dream. Emily sat on the balcony of her luxurious penthouse, looking at the city skyline. She had achieved what she once thought was impossible. She was a millionaire, but more importantly, she was independent, successful, and fulfilled. She reflected on her journey, the late nights, the failures, the sacrifices. It had not been easy, but it had been worth it. She had learned that wealth was not just about money. It was about growth, resilience, and never giving up on your dreams. Emily decided to give back to the community. She started mentoring young entrepreneurs, teaching them the lessons she had learned. She wanted to help others achieve their dreams just as she had. One evening, she received a message from Lisa, the friend who had inspired her to start her business. "You did it, Emily. I'm so proud of you." Emily smiled, feeling grateful for every step of her journey. She had once been a waitress with big dreams, and now she was living the life she had always wanted. But she knew that this was just the beginning. There were still more dreams to chase, more goals to achieve. And with determination, anything was possible. Chapter 6: New Challenges. Emily had achieved financial success, but new challenges came with it. Managing multiple businesses required more effort than she had expected. She often found herself overwhelmed with meetings, emails, and decisions. Sometimes she missed the simplicity of her early days. However, she reminded herself that every great success came with responsibility. One of the biggest challenges was trusting the right people. As her wealth grew, many people approached her with business ideas. Some were genuine, but others only wanted her money. Emily learned to be cautious, always analyzing every opportunity before investing. It was a difficult lesson, but it made her a smarter entrepreneur. Despite the stress, Emily loved the thrill of creating something new. She expanded her clothing brand into international markets. She also invested in technology, believing that the future belonged to innovation. Every decision she made was a step towards greater financial freedom. However, her busy schedule took a toll on her personal life. She barely had time to see her family or enjoy simple moments. She realized that success was meaningless if she didn't have time for herself. She promised to find a better balance between work and life. One evening, she sat alone in her office, thinking about her next move. She wanted to build something that would leave a lasting impact. Being rich was not enough anymore. She wanted to create a legacy. She knew it was time for a bigger challenge. Chapter 7: A Risky Investment. Emily decided to take a bold step into the world of technology. She had been studying artificial intelligence and saw its potential. She partnered with a group of experts and launched a tech startup. It was the biggest risk she had ever taken in her career. The early days were tough, with unexpected problems and financial struggles. Investors were hesitant, and some people doubted her vision. But Emily had been in difficult situations before. She used her experience to push forward, finding solutions to every challenge. After months of hard work, her startup finally gained attention. A major investor saw the potential and offered to fund the project. With the new investment, Emily's company grew rapidly, attracting talented employees. She was proud of what she had built from nothing. As the company expanded, she faced criticism from competitors. Some tried to discredit her, while others attempted to copy her ideas. Instead of being discouraged, she focused on innovation. She knew that the best way to stay ahead was to keep improving. By the end of the year, Emily's startup was valued at millions of dollars. She had once again proven that success belonged to those who never gave up. However, she knew this was only the beginning of something even bigger. Chapter 8: Giving Back. Emily remembered her humble beginnings and felt grateful for her journey. She decided it was time to give back to the community. She established a foundation to help young entrepreneurs start their businesses. She wanted to inspire others to chase their dreams. She started visiting schools and universities, sharing her story with students. Many young people were excited to learn from her experiences. She saw herself in them. The same hunger for success, the same big dreams. It motivated her to continue supporting them. Emily also provided financial aid to small businesses struggling to survive. She believed that wealth should be used to create more opportunities. Helping others reminded her why she had worked so hard in the first place. It was not just about money, but about making a difference. One day, a young woman approached her after a seminar. "You changed my life," she said, tears in her eyes. "Because of your advice, I started my own business." Emily realized that true success was not measured by wealth, but by the lives she touched. Although she had achieved financial freedom, she felt that her mission was far from over. She wanted to help even more people. Her journey had started with a simple dream, but now it had become something greater. Chapter 9: A New Dream. After years of working hard, Emily finally took a break. She traveled to different countries, enjoying the beauty of the world. For the first time in years, she felt truly free. She realized that money alone did not bring happiness. It was about how she used it. During her travels, she met people from different cultures and backgrounds. She was inspired by their stories and struggles. She wanted to create something that could help people globally. That's when she had a new idea for her next project. She decided to build a global network for young entrepreneurs, a platform where people could learn, connect, and grow their businesses. It would be a space for dreamers like her to find the resources they needed. She was excited about this new challenge. As she planned her new venture, she felt the same excitement she had years ago. She knew that wealth was not about collecting money, but about creating value. She was ready to start a new journey, one that could change the world. Looking back, she smiled at how far she had come, from being a waitress with big dreams to a global entrepreneur. But she knew that the best part of her journey was yet to come. Chapter 10: The Legacy Lives On. Years later, Emily's name was known worldwide. Her businesses thrived, and her foundation had helped thousands of entrepreneurs. She had built a legacy that would last for generations. But she was not done yet. She still had dreams to fulfill. She continued to innovate, exploring new industries and ideas. She believed that the world was constantly changing, and so should she. Her passion for learning kept her motivated, even after achieving so much. One day, a journalist asked her, "What is the secret to your success?" Emily smiled and replied, "Never stop dreaming, never stop learning, and never give up." She knew that her story could inspire millions of people. She had proven that success was not about where you started, but how much effort you put in. She had faced failures, struggles, and doubts, but she had never given up. That was the true key to becoming a millionaire. As she watched the sunset from her home, she felt at peace. She had once dreamed of being rich, but now she understood that true wealth was about impact. Her journey had not just changed her life, it had changed the world. And with that, Emily smiled, knowing that her story was just the beginning of something even greater. Chapter 11. The Price of Success. Emily had built an empire, but she had also paid a high price for it. The long hours, the stress, and the sacrifices had taken a toll on her health. She often found herself exhausted, unable to sleep despite her luxurious surroundings. She had everything she once dreamed of: money, power, and influence. But sometimes she felt an emptiness that wealth couldn't fill. She realized that success wasn't just about financial achievements. It was also about personal well-being and happiness. One day, while reviewing financial reports in her office, she felt a sharp pain in her chest. It was a wake-up call. She had ignored her health for too long, always putting business first. The doctors advised her to slow down, but stepping away from her empire was terrifying. Who would manage her businesses? Who could make the right decisions in her absence? However, she knew that if she didn't take care of herself, none of it would matter in the end. Determined to make a change, Emily restructured her company, delegating responsibilities to a team of trusted leaders. It was difficult at first. Letting go of control was not her nature. But she knew she had to trust the people she had trained. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to take a step back, focusing on her well-being. She started exercising, meditating, and spending more time with family. She learned that true success was about balance, not just relentless ambition. Despite her fears, the company continued to thrive without her constant presence. This taught her an important lesson. A true leader builds a system that can function independently. She had not just created a business. She had built a legacy that could sustain itself. She felt a new sense of fulfillment, realizing that success was not about doing everything alone, but about empowering others to grow. As she looked at herself in the mirror, healthier and more at peace, she smiled. The ambitious young woman who once worked as a waitress had come a long way. But now, she was ready to embrace a different kind of success, one that included happiness, health, and a life truly worth living. Chapter 12. The Power of Influence. With time, Emily realized that her success gave her something even more valuable than money: power. Not the kind of power that controlled people, but the kind that inspired them. Young entrepreneurs, business students, and even struggling professionals looked up to her as a symbol of what was possible. She decided to use her influence to create something even greater than wealth: a movement. She started giving motivational talks in universities and business summits. Her story resonated with many people who had once thought success was out of their reach. She taught them about resilience, strategic thinking, and the importance of continuous learning. She wasn't just an entrepreneur anymore. She had become a mentor, a role model, and a source of inspiration. But influence came with its own set of challenges. The media often criticized her, questioning her every move. Some people labeled her as lucky or privileged, ignoring the years of hard work she had endured. At first, the negative comments affected her. She wanted to prove herself constantly to silence the critics. But then she realized that true success was about staying focused on the goal, not the distractions. Instead of defending herself, she let her actions speak louder than words. She continued to invest in new businesses, fund scholarships for young innovators, and expand her philanthropic efforts. She knew that the best way to prove her worth was to keep making a difference. And with every project she launched, she felt a deeper sense of fulfillment. Emily had started her journey wanting to be rich, but now she wanted something more. She wanted to be remembered not just as a millionaire, but as someone who had changed lives. And with that thought, she prepared for the next big step in her journey. Chapter 13, The Unexpected Challenge. Just when everything seemed perfect, Emily faced one of the biggest challenges of her career. A major financial crisis hit the global markets, and many of her investments were at risk. Stocks plummeted, businesses struggled, and even some of her most successful ventures faced uncertainty. For the first time in years, she felt the same fear she had experienced when she started from nothing. Instead of panicking, she returned to the principles that had built her empire: adaptability and resilience. She gathered her executive team and restructured the company's strategies. Some tough decisions had to be made, including shutting down non-profitable divisions and redirecting resources to essential areas. It was painful, but necessary for survival. She also took personal risks, investing in struggling industries that she believed had long-term potential. While others hesitated, she saw opportunities in chaos. Her willingness to take bold steps paid off. When the economy stabilized, her businesses not only recovered, but emerged stronger than before. Once again, she had proven that real entrepreneurs don't just survive crises, they grow from them. However, the crisis also reminded her of an important truth: wealth was never permanent. Markets fluctuated, economies shifted, and success could disappear overnight. She understood that real security didn't come from money alone, but from knowledge, experience, and adaptability. That was what truly made someone unstoppable. As the crisis ended and her empire flourished once again, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had conquered yet another challenge, proving that no matter how high she climbed, she would never stop evolving. Chapter 14, The Final Dream. Years passed, and Emily had achieved more than she had ever imagined. She had built businesses, helped countless people, and created a global impact. But there was one last dream she had yet to fulfill: a school for entrepreneurs. A place where people from all backgrounds could learn the skills they needed to succeed. She began planning the project, investing millions into creating a state-of-the-art education center. It would not be a traditional school with rigid rules. Instead, it would be a place of innovation where students could experiment, fail, and grow without fear. She wanted to create an environment that encouraged creativity and risk-taking. As the school took shape, Emily felt more excited than ever. She visited the site regularly, talking to the architects and educators involved. She wanted every detail to be perfect. This was not just another business venture. It was her legacy. When the school finally opened, it received overwhelming support. Thousands of young entrepreneurs applied, eager to learn from the best. Emily personally mentored many of them, sharing the lessons that had shaped her journey. Seeing their enthusiasm reminded her of the ambitious young woman she had once been. On the opening day, she stood before a crowd of students and investors. She looked at them and smiled. "Success is not about where you start," she said. "It's about how much you're willing to fight for your dreams." And with that, she knew she had accomplished everything she had ever wanted. Chapter 15, A Legacy Beyond Wealth. Emily had built an empire, but more importantly, she had built a future for others. Her story became one of the most famous success stories in history, inspiring generations. But for her, the true reward was not the recognition. It was knowing that she had made a difference. As she grew older, she stepped away from the business world, focusing on philanthropy. She funded medical research, built schools in underprivileged communities, and created opportunities for those who had none. Her wealth had become a tool for change, and that was the greatest success of all. One evening, sitting on the balcony of her mansion, she watched the sunset with a sense of deep fulfillment. She had started her journey with a simple dream, to be rich. But in the end, she had achieved something far greater. She had proven that true wealth wasn't about money. It was about the lives you touched, the dreams you helped build, and the legacy you left behind. And with that thought, she closed her eyes, knowing that her story would live on forever.